Hi, welcome back to another episode of It's Whatever, right? I'm your host, Jen. If you are new to the show, please subscribe. Also, as you already know on previous podcasts, I do have secret podcasts that only you get to hear on Patreon, so please go check those out after you're done here, obviously. It's pretty much podcasts that nobody else gets to hear. So please help me out and support my podcast on Patreon. Also, I do have a YouTube channel called The Jen Show. So when you get a chance, go check that out and don't forget to subscribe. I do have a Facebook page called The Jen Show. It's practically a page on where I post all of my latest content and any new things that are coming up in my schedule. So go hit the like and follow button there. Also, I do have a writing channel on Vocal. If you guys want to go and read some of my writing, that would be awesome. With that said, in today's episode of It's Whatever, right? The We're going to do a story time. Um, I figured that I would share 3 out of 4 of my top stories on Vocal. Um, the first one, my top one, is Am I Haunted? Um, if you guys want, you guys can go over to Vocal and type in Jen Moose in order to bring up my profile, and you can read along and um, as I'm reading this. Okay, so the first one is Am I Haunted? Ever wonder what goes on during the night between the bumps and creaks? Well, it started when I was about 8 years old. At the time, I still needed the bathroom light on. That's when I had seen this black shadow's head peek into my room. The shadow was about child size. I had sat up to see what was going on to happen. I didn't call out or anything. I was more interested to see what the shadow figure was going to do. Then the shadow figure ran into the bathroom. It was kind of strange because there was 2 other shadows holding its hands. After I had watched these shadow figures run into the bathroom, I just stayed up to see if they would maybe come back out, but nothing ever happened. After that night, I really never saw anything else, but always had a feeling that something or someone was always there. We had eventually moved to a new home. This was where things kind of got creepy. Things would go missing and no one knew why. Later, my mom found out that the original owner had passed away, but his spirit was still living in the house, which explained all of our stuff was going missing. So then when stuff did go missing, we would ask him to put back the item. Then later on, he would put it back. During my late teens, things got out of control. There would be nights where all of a sudden my bed would start shaking uncontrollably. This went on a couple of times a month till I moved out. I remember one weekend my parents went away for the weekend and my brother was out because of how my parents had the living room set up. I had a perfect view of the front door from the couch. I was watching a movie and from the corner of my eye I could see someone standing in front of the door. I didn't hear anything come in the door. Then the dog started growling, so I looked over and there was a man standing at the door. I jumped up and ran into the hall to the front door, but there was no one there. I checked the door and it was locked. Another incident where I was woken up in the middle of the night by my dog whining, and I could feel this impression in my bed. It felt like someone was sitting there. I turned over and there was someone wearing what looked like my brother's green sweater. I thought it was my brother's girlfriend, and I said, "What are you doing?" I just thought she had mistaken the room since our rooms are side by side. So I pushed her, and the figure fell to the floor and looked up at me. The figure had the hood on, but no face. I turned the light on because I was confused by the way they didn't say anything and why there wasn't any face. By the time I turned the light on, the figure was gone, but there was enough room between the dog and the bed for someone to have fallen on the floor. The next morning, to kind of clear my insanity, I told my brother to make sure that his girlfriend didn't come into my room at night. He didn't know what I was talking about. I told him what happened. Still puzzled, he told me that she wasn't even here and never spent the night. I didn't believe him and went to his room and found nothing. And also, she wasn't even here. She wasn't there. Then my brother told me that earlier that night he says he saw his room. He was in his room playing video games when he saw someone walk by and then a couple minutes later walk back the other way. He thought it was me but realized where the figure was walking above the stairs. Then he remembered no one was home. Our parents were out of town and I was at work. My mom told us that sometimes when she sleeps, this man would be standing at the foot of their bed, watching her sleep, so my mom would have to tell him to go away, which worked for a while. Then eventually, she actually had to tell him he was dead. The ghost of the old man didn't like that too much. He had disappeared for a while. Then all of a sudden, he would come back and start moving things around, standing at the foot of people's beds and shaking them. Years later, my boyfriend and I got our own place. This happened most recent, actually. This was actually a week after I bought an Ouija board. I just finished cleaning up and I could see a shadow across the kitchen, like as if someone was walking in the kitchen, which was weird because I was the only one home and my friend came over a couple days later and actually talked to the shadow person I saw in the kitchen. My second most popular story is Insane Asylum. And like I had said earlier, if you want to follow along, you can go on Vocal, click in Jen Moose, and you can follow along with the story here. So this story is called Insane Asylum. When a girls' night in goes completely wrong. To Annabelle, it felt like another night in with her best friend Lori. They had started out watching a couple of movies and had a few drinks. Then Lori had an idea to go out on an adventure. Annabelle was completely down for it. When Lori and Annabelle had been out adventuring, they had stumbled across an insane asylum. Lori thought it would be a cool idea to be admitted into this mental hospital and then escape. Annabelle was kinda iffy on this idea. Why would anyone want to do such thing? I know we do stupid shit, but why would that even be fun? It sounds scary and stupid. Oh, come on, Anna. Wouldn't it be... Don't be a wuss, replied Lori. So, unwillingly, Annabelle had followed Lori into the asylum. They were drunk enough to pass as crazy. Surprised, they were actually admitted. I wonder how long Lori will keep this up, Annabelle thought to herself. Annabelle had put fake information in since it was supposed to be a joke, so she thought. The inside of the hospital kind of had a bar setting look to it. The staff had kept their stuff behind the bar. After they had finished being admitted, they had requested to go outside for a smoke. Once they got out, they met Annabelle's ex-boyfriend, Robert, and his cousin, Ted. They were supposed to help them plan their escape. Annabelle, Robert excitedly say. Robert's excited to see me, Annabelle said to Laurie as Robert hugged her. Laurie tells Robert and Ted what's happening, but Annabelle never really heard what the plan was to get out. Before going back in, Robert goes and gets his car for the great escape, and Ted stands by the door to help them out. When they get back inside, they sit at a booth. Annabelle looks at the coat check, trying to figure out how to get her stuff back. The staff are looking at us weirdly, like they know something is up, Annabelle had thought to herself. Annabelle didn't realize that Laurie had disappeared. By the time she had realized Laurie was gone, she had asked the staff where Laurie went, and the staff had said Laurie had left. Wait, what? What do you mean Laurie left? Asked Annabelle. Laurie had left to go home, said the nurse. She left without me? Asked Annabelle. Why would she do that? The staff looked at her. Annabelle got a little nervous what was happening. Could I get my stuff, please, so I can go? Said Annabelle. No, sorry, I can't do that, said the nurse. Huh? Why? Because you were admitted, said the nurse. Excuse me? Said Annabelle, confused and stunned. Your friend Laurie had you admitted, explained the nurse. What are you talking about? We were just doing a Netflix and chill night. This is supposed to be a joke, not an actual thing, said Annabelle. So please give me my shit. Sorry, we can't do that, said the nurse. Actually, yes you can. You cannot keep me here. It's illegal to keep me here against my will, said Annabelle, now getting pissed. Fine, said the nurse. And she turns to the other nurses. Can you get her stuff? One of the male nurses comes out, and Annabelle had snatched her stuff from the nurse and walked out, flipping them the finger. Annabelle got outside, and Robert was sitting there in the car ready to go, and Laurie was leaning against the car, like she knew Annabelle would get out. What the actual fuck? Exclaimed Annabelle. What is your problem? It was a joke, said Laurie. How is that a joke? Asked Annabelle. How is having me admitted a joke? Well, technically you admitted yourself, Laurie pointed out. So did you. Yeah, but the point of it was to break out, explained Laurie. Well, didn't need to break out. They can't hold you hostage, said Annabelle said sarcastically. Very true, replied Laurie. Annabelle and Laurie got into the car, and Robert had driven them home. The third story that I'm going to read out of my top 4 stories is The Haunted Mansion, the dream that never stopped haunting. And as I said the last 2 times, if you want to follow along, go on to Vocal, type in Jen Moose, and you can follow the story. So this story is The Haunted Mansion. What is on the other side of the door? All I wanted to know is what's on the other side of the door, but I could never get close enough to open it. For almost 10 years, I've been having the same dream, but each time I have the dream, I get one step closer to opening the door. It always starts out the same. I walk down a long, dark dining room. I'm walking with a butler, a maid, and a couple other people. I don't really know what they look like. I never really see their faces. There's a guide, but it is my house. They're always holding a lantern. They guide us to this door and we walk into what looks like an in-law suite. I'm showing the room to families to rent, but never see their faces. The maid and butler are always standing in the background. Um, where we are aggressively cleaning the room so people can move in. Um, there's this door I see, but when I try to walk towards it, the butler starts screaming at me. I can never make out what he is saying. It's so muffled. The butler turns into a skeleton, but the shape of his body is still there. Like his skin becomes transparent, and all you can see is his skeleton. Then I wake up in what looks like a bedroom from a psych ward, but I'm still in the mansion. There are nuns and nurses surrounding me. They're trying to strap me down and keep me quiet. Like they don't want me to tell anyone what I might have seen behind the door, or maybe this is the punishment I get for trying to open the door. I try to get up and yell for help, but when I do, the nuns and nurses pin me down and sedate me. I see the door and I try to make it to the hallway. The nuns call out for more help because they're unable to keep me down. Once I get to the hallway, I look into the bedroom and they can't figure out what happened. Everyone is looking around the room, but they can't find me. It's like they can't see me in the hallway. I look down the long, dark hallway and I wake up from the nightmare. Each time I have this dream, it always starts out the same. Once I notice the door in the dream, I get one step closer. The closest I've gotten is I've been able to open the door a little bit before the butler has noticed, but I've never been able to look inside the room. What's so important behind this door that the butler gets so upset to the point where I get sent to the psych ward and get strapped down and sedated. Throughout the dream, I see the door and wonder whether it leads to another room or realm. Does the door lead to the attic? Or maybe the butler and maid's corridors? And maybe that's why he gets so upset, because I was invading his privacy. But that's not something to get upset about. When I wake up and I realize I should ask the butler why he gets so upset about what's behind the door. It is my house after all. What is he hiding? But when the dream happens, the butler gets upset. I try to open my mouth to talk, but before I can say anything to the butler, nothing comes out and I'm in the psych ward. So that's it for my storytelling today. If you really enjoyed this, please don't forget to subscribe to my podcast channel and go look at my vocal channel and read more of my stories. Before I wrap this podcast up today, I do have an Etsy shop. I do have a couple of paintings up there, and currently I'm in the mix of making soap. I thought it'd be maybe a cool little project to do, so go check that out, and hopefully by then the soap will be up. My little soap projects will be up on Etsy for you to purchase. Um, but anyways, thank you for listening to my podcast. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new to the show. Hit the like button and share so others can share the same experience as you. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please leave a comment and feel free to leave your opinion in the comment section down below. Also, if you have any topics you would like to hear, please comment below. All of the links I will leave in the description below, so you can go check those out. Till next time, bye!